Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Chris the Dumb One, and I am back with another video. We're about to get into a hot topic that I saw trending last night. ESPN is about to lay off more than 1,000 people due to the lackluster ratings, as well as there have been several controversial events transpiring around ESPN. Like I said earlier, the ratings are dwindling, as well as they also invested so much money into having these and inking these exclusive deals with college baseball, college basketball, NBA, NFL, and MLB in some cases, in some parts. And ESPN has been struggling for the past couple of years. Now, a lot of people assume, and try to put two and two together to make four, a lot of people are assuming that, well, you know why ESPN is going through all this? Because Fox Sports 1 is doing this thing. I think competition is always good. However, ESPN been experiencing these problems long before Fox Sports 1 hired Skip Bayless, Colin Cowherd, a lot of former television personalities who got laid off of ESPN found a home at Fox Sports 1. That's further from the truth. In a recent interview with the top level heads at ESPN, reports were surfacing, and this was like when the first round of layoffs around in the summer. Top level executives said the reason why they're going through so much turmoil is because they invested so much money and spread themselves way too far, okay, with not only trying to ink exclusive deals with a lot of these leagues, but also ESPN films. Even though they make great 30 for 30 films, at the end of the day, they're investing more money than what they're actually getting out of these movies. People seem to forget that they're in production with the Rick Pitino story. They got Al Pacino portraying Rick Pitino. All right, that film is going to be a while for that film to finally make its way, but that film's going to cost a lot of money. With the figureheads, the A-list actors and actresses that they're trying to coop for this movie. But it's investments like that where they're not seeing a return in it. Okay, the NBA, when they inked that exclusive deal with the NBA, the first couple of years of that deal was kind of bad for ESPN. Now the NBA has gotten better, okay, but still they wanted to win that bid, and they overspent to get that bid. All right, it was basically ESPN, Turner Sports, and to a small extent Fox Sports 1. But Fox Sports 1 is balling under a budget. All right, they was only going to go so far for ESPN, and the SEC, with that deal, ESPN sort of gotten the SEC when it's not at its pinnacle like it was years ago. All right, which once again they bid way too much money, far too much money for the SEC. They got an SEC network with Tim Tebow, so that package with bidding for the SEC, they're not getting their investment for that. So those are a few examples and reasons why ESPN finds themselves in these predicaments. All right, Now, in this report, they're going to lay off people before Thanksgiving, and the layoffs will continue. They want to try to get them all laid off before Christmas, okay? Because, you know, that looks bad. That looks kind of shady, you know, firing somebody a week before Christmas. And it's going to, the people who are going to be cut are people on the technical side, the producers, executives, as well as on-air talent, okay? I'm going to tell you straight off the rip, one name that's probably not going to make these rounds of layoffs, probably the first wave of layoffs, you're probably going to see this name at the header, and it's Jemele Hill. The reason why I say that, not because Jemele Hill is bad for ESPN, she's not a good host, she's not a good on-air talent. I really do thoroughly enjoy Jemele Hill. She keeps it real. But Jemele Hill, when you signed up with ESPN, too real is not ESPN's motto, all right? It's a Disney-owned company, and Jemele Hill has been commenting for the past couple of months, even though ESPN has whispered in her ear, like the Yin Yang twins, and basically telling her to pump the brakes a little bit, stop talking about Donald Trump, stop talking about politics and government. If that's what you want to do, then maybe, you know, you should forget about doing sports and do one of those political shows, like NBC or Fox News, whatever, all right, or CNN. And that's why you haven't really heard too much from Jemele Hill. Now, I feel like Jemele Hill is probably going to be the first casualty in the first round of layoffs, okay? She's probably going to go, and they already gotten her replacement lined up, okay? Elle Duncan, she may be taking over for Jemele Hill, and as well as other top talent. I feel like as far as on-air talent goes, she's probably going to be the most recognizable. You know, even though they're going to be releasing on-air talent, the people that they're going to mention, a lot of people that watch ESPN are going like, who is that? You know, but ESPN has way too many chefs in the kitchen, all right? So when your ratings are, you know, shrinking, you know, and it really doesn't matter what show you're talking about. First Take has suffered a loss, okay? Mike and Mike is not doing what it normally does, okay? That's probably the reason why they're going to break those guys up, and have Mike Golick on the radio side of things, with pairing up with Trey Wingo on the radio side of things, and Mike Greenberg doing ESPN Plus, I believe. He's going to have his own show, his own morning show. So now you split the talent up to where, you know, you have at least these two top on-air personalities on two different shows, and all that does is really make the ESPN brand a lot better, put it in a better place than where it once was, okay? But like I said earlier, First Take has been taking some hits. You know, the Sports Center, the Six, Jemele Hill and Michael Smith, even though it did good in its opening month, it has too suffered in ratings, particularly from Jemele Hill and what she said about Trump and government and things like that nature, which, to be fair and to be truthful, she does have a point. However, it's not about if she was right or wrong. It's about, do ESPN want to swim in the shark, so to say, with these types of controversial events and news subjects. Okay, this is stuff that ESPN tries to stray away from. Okay, now a lot of people thinking the big elephant in the room is probably going to be gone, and let's just go ahead and get him out of the way. Stephen A. Smith. I don't see Stephen A. Smith leaving. Okay, if you read the reports, ESPN wouldn't mind if Stephen A. Smith took a pay cut. Okay, that's how bad ESPN is. They're not going to let go of Stephen A. Smith, because that'd be suicide for them, because they don't necessarily have an on-air personality that can replace Stephen A. Smith. Now they try to work it out with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. Okay, which if you saw my video when they was looking for a replacement, that was the name I mentioned, as well as other names. Okay, man, this sun is all in a brother's eyes and shit. God damn. Well, anyway, we just got to deal with it while the sun's in my eyes. But still, that transpired with some great ratings. But people have to remember when they went with that new tag team, it was really little to talk about in that short period of time, and that's why Undisputed, even though their first show was a huge success, it dwindled on the other shows. Okay, now not so much. You know, it seems like Shannon Sharp is really doing his thing with Undisputed, and the sun's still in my eyes, but it's all good in the hood. He's proven that he's he's a force to be reckoned with Undisputed. Okay, Max Kellerman, yeah, that's another on-air personality. That's a name that you can hype up First Take, but Max Kellerman don't really necessarily bring anything to the table like Skip Bayless does. Okay, the one thing about Skip Bayless, a lot of people don't give him a lot of credit for, is he knows how to push the needle, particularly with a lot of people out there trolling him, hating him, because he's a fanboy at heart. He's a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, even though he don't necessarily admits it, he's a fan of the LA Lakers. You know, and he's always the fan. He's a fan for the hype train, the hype machine. Okay, he was never a fan of LeBron James, because he's more of a fan of Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. Okay, so he's old school. But the one thing Skip Bayless brought to the table and got a lot of people to watch him, because people wanted to watch First Take when Skip Bayless was there to hear what Skip Bayless was going to say. Okay, which translation, Max Kellerman doesn't give you that. Okay, Max Kellerman is not going to give you that element. Max Kellerman is mainly going to talk about the subject, share his opinion, and throw a word out there that no one hasn't heard of. Haven't heard this word in a long time. That's pretty much Max Kellerman's signature trait. Okay, things gotten so bad with this duo that they would have guest hosts to pair alongside Max and Stephen A. Smith. The chemistry is there. It's just that Max Kellerman, he's the type of individual that doesn't necessarily push the needle like Skip Bayless does. Okay, you have to always have a good cop, bad cop scenario with any successful show, and people just don't see it with First Take. Now Molly is doing her thing. Okay, but she's not a bigger name in that show than Stephen A. and Max. Okay, so Molly can only do so much. They don't really necessarily ask her opinion on a lot of subjects. Okay, and with Molly, even when she does talk about something going on in the sports world, it's sort of kind of vanilla. She really doesn't add any other flavor to it. Okay, now with that being said, as well as the controversial events that have been transpiring with ESPN, with Jemele Hill, I forgot the other lady's name, who got demoted. She used to do ESPN NBA Countdown. I forgot her name. Forgive me. I had it for a second, but I forgot it. I apologize. But her name will come to my memory later on. They would get on social media and they would talk about things that not necessarily has anything to do with sports, just sharing their thoughts and their opinions. Okay, and that type of attitude sort of gave ESPN a lot of backlash. It's bad enough that ESPN is losing when you're talking about ratings. The ratings are dwindling, and it's also bad enough when you invest so much in these exclusive packages and they're not paying their dividends out. It's another thing when individuals out there start speaking their mind and sharing their opinions about what's going on in the world today. Okay, like I said earlier, Jemele Hill, even though I agree with her, still you have to understand who's cutting the checks. And if Disney's cutting the check, Disney is the type of corporation that don't want to see themselves in these controversial events, because they want to advertise themselves as family friendly. Okay, PC. Okay, Sage Steele, that's the woman I was thinking about. Sage Steele, the reason why she lost her position was because of the All Black Lives movement. Okay, that rubbed a lot of African Americans the wrong way, because basically she wasn't necessarily promoting the cause, but trying to create a cause within a cause. Okay, and basically coming at a lot of NFL players who wanted to protest this. Okay, and that rubbed the NFL the wrong way. Okay, so it's those events that's affecting ESPN. Okay, I think ESPN should just streamline, the network. I think they got their hands in too many cookie jars. I think they should stick to what they do best, and what they do best is SportsCenter. I think SportsCenter has been that's their franchise, that's their baby, and SportsCenter, they don't care. I think they should have a signature duo for SportsCenter. Okay, I understand they were trying to do that with Jemele Hill and Michael Smith. That's fine and all, but back in the old days, they would have duos for the 6 p.m. SportsCenter. It wasn't always necessarily the same individuals. All right. I think they need to get back to that type of element. I think they need to, as far as trying to spend a lot of money on these exclusive deals, I think they should stay away from those things and just cover the sports like what Fox is doing, what NBC is doing. It's okay if you want NBA basketball on your network, okay? And it's okay to want NFL basketball on your network, but you can't overspend to get those deals, okay? If you can't broker the deal with what you bidding with, then you have to fall back a little, okay? Because all you're doing is you're throwing money down the drain on all of these exclusive deals, and they're not paying their dividends off, okay? So that's another thing ESPN has to do. I think as far as their on-air talent, I think they spend way too much money on names. Okay, way too much money on names. Okay, you know, some of these people are overpaid. All right, they're not really bringing more bang for their buck for the corporation. You know, case in point, they gave Michael Smith a huge contract. They gave Linda Cohn a decent contract. They gave Jamel Hill a big time contract. Okay, they have done this with a lot of their own air personality. Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith. I feel like Stephen A. Smith should. I think Stephen A. Smith should make the big time bucks because he's a bigger name. But is Max Kellerman doing the same thing? Is Max Kellerman bringing the same type of audience like Stephen A. Smith? Is that what you're telling me? I think Max Kellerman, you know, even though it's fine to put him on First Take, they should not rewarded him with a big time contract. Okay, I think that was their biggest mistake overall, giving Max Kellerman that type of money. Okay, the same could be said with Linda Cohn. All right, you know, I like Linda Cohn. I have no problem with Linda Cohn. However, to me nowadays, Linda Cohn really doesn't. Her name really doesn't bring a lot of butts and seats. Okay, yeah, she loves hockey. Okay, but what else? I mean, what else she can do for you? Literally nothing. Okay, so why even give her that much money? You know, ESPN sometimes is in its own way sometimes. You know, ESPN is, oh shoot, this sun right here. I can't do that. Can't do that. Let me get by, sir. Can't do that. Let's get over here for a second. But nevertheless, that's the problem with ESPN. ESPN is wasting so much money on all these other outlets that they try to invest for. Okay, and their investments are not working. Okay, and that's why they're in the predicament now. Now they're gonna have to lay off a lot of people. I explained to you guys, out of those people who are going to be let go of this holiday season, and all these layoffs are going to take effect before Christmas. Okay, I think the biggest name out of these, don't be surprised if Jamel Hill's name is going to be one of those on-air personalities that's going to be let go. You know, and I'm not saying I'm not saying what she said, Jamel Hill, what she said about the president was wrong. Me personally, I feel exactly how Jamel Hill feel. But here's the problem. I don't work for ESPN. Jamel Hill works for ESPN, and she knew when she signed her name on the dotted line that ESPN is a Disney-run family organization. Okay, so if you happen to see her name as one of the individuals that's going to be let go, do not be surprised. I think more than not, it's going to be more of, you know, engineers, the people that edit, the people that do production. I think it's going to be more of those type of individuals that's going to be laid off. Okay, I don't think it's going to be a lot of on-air personalities like it was this summer. Okay, but ESPN has to streamline the way they do business. Okay, you just can't just throw money in throw a pile of money on something just because you have the money. I think ESPN has overspent on a lot of things that are not paying itself down the road. Okay, like the NFL, the NBA, they're not getting their best investment from those services. Okay, ESPN movies, Even though the 30 for 30s, to me, I thoroughly enjoy these movies, but now ESPN wants a bigger production of these ESPN movies. I think the first movie is going to be that Al Pacino movie. Al Pacino is going to be playing Rick Pitino. I think ESPN is banking on having Al Pacino's name in it, meaning that they're going to get more bang for their buck with this investment. And if Al Pacino's playing in it and starring in it, best believe it's going to be other A-list celebrities, actors and actresses that's going to make their way to this movie. Okay, that costs a lot of money. Okay, ESPN has squandered a lot of money. Now, like I said earlier, a lot of people are going to think and assume that, well, Fox Sports 1 is really getting at them. You know, Fox Sports 1, what a lot of people seem to not forget is Fox Sports 1 is staying in their lane. Fox Sports 1 is not trying to ink exclusive deals to get the NFL, the NBA, the CBA. They're not worrying about the SEC. They're not concerned about any of those entities. Okay, right now they're trying to build their brand with the television shows that they have. I think by far out of all the television shows, to me, that's worth watching is Undisputed. Now, first things first, that's a decent show. It's the very first show on the Fox Sports 1 lineup with Nick Wright and I forgot the receiver name. He used to work for ESPN. Shoot, I forgot his name. But anywho, that's not the point. I think that's a good show, but I don't think Fox Sports 1 is in the realization of this show is going to do this, it's going to do that. I think it's more of a filler show than anything else. And then Undisputed, and then after that you got Colin Cowherd, his radio and TV show, and the afternoon show, Colin Cowherd, and I forgot the I rarely watch these shows. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of Colin Cowherd anyway. But I forgot. Is it First Thing First, Undisputed, Colin Cowherd's show, and the one that's on the afternoon with the big heavy black dude with the hats, always wearing hats and stuff. Anyway, Fox Sports 1 is pretty much figuring out to just simply just keep it simple, and ESPN hasn't done so. All right, and I hate to see ESPN in this way, but sometimes things happen for the best. Sometimes you have to take a step down. Sometimes you have to start it all over again to find your way. ESPN got enough on-air talent, on-air personalities to rebuild this. Okay, this doesn't mean ESPN is going to be shutting down anytime soon. Okay, they're still going to premiere ESPN Plus. There's no way of getting around that. I think with the new programs that they're going to introduce in January, these shows are going to be a little bit more daring than the older shows like First Take and Michael Smith and Jamel Hill and the Sports Center The Six and the Ryan Casillo show, whatever you call that crap. It's going to be a little bit more daring. It's going to have more meat on the bone. Mike Greenberg's show is going to have that type of element with his show. Sage Steele, I don't know if she's going to be hosting this show or she's going to have her own show. No, she's going to be on Sports Center AM. She's going to be the host for Sports Center AM, and having her there is going to add even more meat to the bone with Sports Center AM. It's going to be a little bit daring. It's going to be it's not going to have too much controversy in it. They're not going to be talking about politics and things of that nature, but they're going to be a little bit daring on these shows, ESPN Plus. Okay, so that's what's pretty much going on. It is what it is, and like I said, I always told you guys, even when I uploaded that video over the summer, do not be surprised if ESPN has more layoffs, okay? Now, I will give you guys this tidbit before I leave. Even though these layoffs are going to happen this year, still, do not be surprised if ESPN starts shutting shows down, okay? You know, because those shows are not popular and they're not producing enough revenue, okay? So I think ESPN is going to really promote ESPN Plus, all right? And it is what it is. But guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Don One, and I am out. Deuces.